Jake Brenner straightened his tie and tried not to laugh at the 7-foot purple squid, giving him the stink eye from across the chamber. Well, he assumed it was the stink eye. Hard to tell with 17 eyeballs, but the vibe was definitely hostile. Station Harmony's Grand Council chamber was exactly what you'd expect from a bunch of aliens with too much time and taxpayer money. Crystal pillars, floating holographic displays, chairs designed for anatomies that definitely did not include spines. Jake's chair was basically a glorified bar stool they'd wheeled in last minute, and honestly, he respected the energy. Ambassador Threnix, the council leader, rose from his platinum throne situation. He was a Kelvorian, which meant he looked like someone had crossed a Komodo dragon with a middle manager who really loved Robert's Rules of Order. All 4 of his eyes blinked in sequence as he adjusted his ceremonial sash. "We are gathered here today," Threnix began, his voice trembling with the weight of bureaucratic importance, "to render final judgment on the human application for full Galactic Council membership." Jake nodded along. He'd been through 14 preliminary hearings, 9 subcommittee reviews, and 1 particularly awkward dinner party where he'd accidentally insulted someone's egg sack. Good times. "The humans have proven themselves technologically capable," Threnix continued, reading from a datapad like he was announcing lottery numbers. "They have demonstrated faster-than-light travel. They have established colonies on hostile worlds. They have even shown rudimentary diplomatic skills." Rudimentary. Jake wrote that down in his mental list of reasons to ask for a raise. However, and here Threnix's voice dropped an octave, concerns remain about their judgment, their recklessness, and their bizarre tendency to do things simply because, and I quote, "it seemed funny at the time." Okay, that Mars rover incident was one time, maybe twice. The council chamber murmured in multiple frequencies. Jake spotted Carlo in the front row. An insectoid who looked like a praying mantis had gone to Harvard and wouldn't shut up about it. His antennae were practically vibrating with smugness. "Perhaps," Carlo clicked, rising to his full height of about 5 feet nothing, "we should administer one final test. Something simple. A basic evaluation of judgment and risk assessment." Jake felt the energy in the room shift. This wasn't on the agenda. "What did you have in mind, counselor?" Threnix asked, though his tone suggested he already knew and wasn't thrilled about it. Carlo reached into his diplomatic satchel with one of his creepy little claw hands and produced a small crystalline container. Inside was a single berry, about the size of a grape, colored a deep crimson that seemed to pulse with its own light. "Behold," Carlo announced, holding it up like he was Simba, "the vermilion nightshade of Kral 9, known across 47 star systems as the Deathberry." Oh, this was going to be good. The chamber went silent except for the Universal Translator's gentle hum. Jake leaned forward on his bar stool chair, genuinely curious now. Carlo was practically glowing with self-satisfaction. "This berry contains a neurotoxin so potent that it has killed representatives from 47 different species." 47. The Kelvorians, the Throx, even the Benzari, whose biology is silicon-based. He gestured dramatically with his free claw. "It is universally recognized as one of the most dangerous substances in known space." Jake watched the berry pulse in its container. It did look kind of ominous, he'd give them that. "Now then," Carlo continued, his voice dripping with what Jake assumed was the insectoid equivalent of condescension. "Humans claim to be resilient, adaptable, ready to join the galactic community as equals. So here is my simple question for our human representative." He placed the container on the table between them and deactivated the stasis field. The berry sat there, looking innocent and murderous at the same time. "Identify the danger presented by this specimen and explain why consuming it would be inadvisable." The other council members nodded approvingly. Several took notes. Threnix looked relieved that the test seemed reasonable. This was supposed to be easy. A softball. Humanity's chance to demonstrate they understood basic survival instincts and weren't complete lunatics. Jake stared at the berry. The berry stared back, in the way that inanimate objects don't actually stare but somehow still manage to be menacing. "Let me get this straight," Jake said slowly. "You want me to tell you why eating this berry would be a bad idea?" "Precisely," Carlo buzzed. "A simple demonstration of judgment and common sense. Any civilized species would recognize the obvious danger and refrain from consuming unknown alien flora, particularly flora with such a fearsome reputation." "Right. Common sense." "Indeed." Jake reached out and picked up the berry. Several aliens gasped. Threnix's primary eyes widened. "Representative Brenner," the council leader said carefully. "Counselor Carlo is asking you to identify the danger, not to actually handle the specimen. Perhaps you should put that down and we can discuss this like rational beings." Jake held the berry up to the light. It was actually pretty, kind of translucent, with little dark seeds visible inside. The surface had a slight shimmer to it, like someone had dusted it with edible glitter. How many species did you say this killed? Jake asked. 47? Carlo repeated, his antennae starting to droop with concern. Representative, I must insist that you return the deathberry to its container immediately. The toxin can be absorbed through skin contact in some species, and we cannot guarantee your safety. Huh, Jake said thoughtfully. He rolled it between his fingers. Feels kind of like a cherry tomato. Representative Brenner. Frent. Threnix was standing now. All four eyes locked on Jake's hand. Please. Exercise caution. The thing about being humanity's representative to the Galactic Council was that you had to make an impression. You had to show them what humans were made of. You had to demonstrate confidence, capability, and the kind of diplomatic savvy that built interstellar relationships. Jake popped the deathberry into his mouth and bit down. For exactly half a second, nobody moved. Then the chamber exploded into absolute chaos. Alarms started blaring. Carlo made a sound like a tea kettle having an emotional breakdown. Threnix began speed reading what sounded like last rites in 7 different languages simultaneously, his voice cracking on the Benzari death prayer. Medical emergency. Someone screamed, Code Vermilion. Repeat, Code Vermilion. He ate it. A small furry delegate whispered in horror. He actually ate the deathberry. Oh gods, someone call his next of kin. Do humans even have next of kin? Another voice shrieked. Jake chewed thoughtfully. The berry had a nice texture, firm but juicy. The flavor hit his tongue in waves, sweet at first, then a sharp tang, followed by this weird, spicy heat that reminded him of those sketchy gummy candies he used to buy at gas stations on road trips. The ones that were probably 40% food dye and 60% regret. Not bad, he said, swallowing. Little tangy. Anyone got more of these? Carlo fainted, just straight up collapsed, his exoskeleton hitting the floor with a sound like someone dropping a bunch of fancy silverware. Doctor. Pinnacle materialized from somewhere, a gelatinous blob creature with multiple tendrils that held various medical instruments. He immediately started scanning Jake with devices that beeped, whirred, and in one case played what sounded like smooth jazz. His vital signs. Doctor. Pinnacle gurgled in disbelief, his translucent body rippling with confusion. They're normal. No, wait. Better than normal. His dopamine levels suggest he's actually enjoying this experience. I mean, yeah, Jake said. It's tasty. Kind of reminds me of those Warheads candies we had as kids. You know, the super sour ones? We used to see who could eat the most without making a face. Tommy Chen once ate 17 and threw up behind the gym. Good times. Threnix had gone completely still, all four eyes fixed on Jake like he was watching a horror movie. Representative Brenner, that berry has killed 47 species. You should be experiencing neural shutdown, followed by complete organ failure, followed by what the Throx call the eternal screaming. Yeah, about that, Jake said, reaching for his water bottle. I'm feeling pretty good, actually. Little thirsty, though. This thing got any seeds I should worry about? Because I definitely swallowed some. Dr. Pinnacle deployed 3 more scanning tendrils. Impossible. The toxin should have reached his brainstem by now. I'm detecting the poison in his system. It's there. It's just... He paused, his gelatinous form quivering. His body appears to be breaking it down. No, not breaking it down. Ignoring it. Like it's irrelevant. Could be worse. Jake offered helpfully. One time in college I ate week-old gas station sushi on a dare. Now that was a rough night. A purple delegate in the back row made a retching sound. Someone else was crying. Threnix had sat back down and was holding his head in his clawed hands like he was reconsidering every life choice that had led to this moment. Run a full toxicology panel, Threnix ordered weakly. Check for antidotes in his system. Check for cybernetic modifications. Check for literal divine intervention. There must be an explanation. Doctor. Pinnacle ran scan after scan, each one confirming the same impossible result. Jake Brenner had consumed enough neurotoxin to kill a small shuttle full of various alien species, and he was sitting there looking mildly pleased about it, like someone had just served him a decent appetizer. Representative. Dr. Pinnacle said, finally. His voice filled with medical bewilderment. I have checked everything. You are, by all measures, completely fine. The toxin is in your bloodstream. Your body is simply treating it like a mild irritant. Perhaps even a pleasant one, based on your neurochemistry. Cool, Jake said. So seriously, are there more of these? Because I skipped lunch, and this berry situation barely counts as a snack. Threnix looked up slowly. How? How what? How are you not dead? Jake shrugged. I mean, I'm from Earth. The room went very, very quiet. What? Threnix said carefully. Does that have to do with anything? Oh boy, Jake said, cracking his knuckles. Buckle up, everyone. We need to have a talk about Earth. Jake stood up from his bar stool and stretched. Every eye stalk, and sensory organ in the chamber tracked his movement like he was a live grenade. So here's the thing about Earth, Jake began, pacing casually. And I really wish someone had put this in our application, but we kind of assumed you all knew. Earth is what you might call a Class 12 death world. We know that. Carlo wheezed from the floor where he was still recovering. Extreme temperature variations, volatile weather patterns, aggressive megafauna. Standard death world classification. Right. Jake said. But see, that's just the environmental stuff. I'm talking about the chemistry. Because Earth didn't just try to kill us with dinosaurs and ice ages. Earth tried to kill us with literally everything we put in our mouths. Threnix leaned forward despite himself. Explain. Okay. Let's start simple. Capsaicin. You know what that is? Jake looked around at blank faces and confused antennae. It's the chemical that makes peppers spicy. Plants evolved it as a defense mechanism. It triggers pain receptors. It's literally designed to make animals stop eating the plant. Sensible, Dr. Pinnacle agreed. We eat it. For fun, Jake said flatly. We put it on everything. We have entire restaurants based around seeing how much pain you can tolerate while eating. We have competitive eating contests. Some guy in India ate a pepper so hot it could probably strip paint, and people cheered. A small reptilian delegate raised a claw nervously. But surely that's an outlier. An aberration in human behavior. Oh, we're just getting started. Alcohol. You guys know about alcohol? Jake grinned at their nodding. Ethanol. It's a literal poison. Your liver processes it the same way it processes toxins because it is a toxin. We drink it socially. We have thousands of years of culture built around drinking poison together to relax. That cannot be true, Carlo protested weakly. Caffeine, Jake continued, counting on his fingers. It's an insecticide. Plants evolved it to kill bugs. We brew it into beverages and drink it every morning because we can't function without it. I personally had 3 cups before this meeting. Dr. Pinnacle's tendrils were trembling. Surely your regulatory bodies prohibit this. Our regulatory bodies run on caffeine, Jake said. Next up, chocolate. Theobromine. Kills dogs, kills cats, kills most earth animals. We make candy out of it. We give it to our children. We have entire holidays centered around chocolate consumption. The chamber was dead silent except for someone's translator glitching out in what might have been existential horror. Almonds contain cyanide compounds. We eat them as a healthy snack. Nutmeg is a hallucinogen in large doses. We put it in cookies. Rhubarb leaves are toxic enough to kill you. We just eat the stems and pretend that's normal. Potatoes produce solanine poison when exposed to light. We just cut off the green parts and eat the rest. This is insanity, Threnix breathed. Oh, I'm not done. Pufferfish, fugu, contains tetrodotoxin, one of the most lethal poisons on Earth. One fish has enough toxin to kill 30 adult humans. We train chefs to prepare it as a delicacy. People pay premium prices to eat something that might kill them if the chef cuts it wrong. It's considered fancy. A delegate in the back was hyperventilating into a paper bag. Another was frantically taking notes, probably for a report titled, Why We Should Never Visit Earth. Cassava root, the staple food for millions of humans, contains cyanogenic glycosides. Process it wrong and it produces cyanide. We've been eating it for 10,000 years. Kidney beans are toxic raw. We just figured out we had to cook them. Cashews grow on a shell, covered in the same chemical that makes poison ivy poisonous. We roast them and sell them in movie theaters. Jake walked back to the table and leaned on it. See, Earth didn't just have 1 or 2 toxic plants. Everything evolved to be poisonous. Because everything was trying not to get eaten, and humans, stubborn idiots that we are, just kept eating things until we figured out what killed us and what just made us feel weird. Then we ate the weird stuff on purpose. But why? Threnix asked, and he actually sounded like he wanted to understand. Because we were hungry, Jake said simply. And then later, because we were curious. And then eventually, because we were bored. We've been building up resistance to toxins since we were cave dwellers, stealing honey from insects that could kill us with a sting. We've been playing chemical Russian roulette with our food chain for 200,000 years. He picked up his water bottle and took a long drink. So yeah, your deathberry? That's basically a slightly spicy strawberry to my biology. My liver took one look at that toxin and went, oh cute, another Tuesday. The silence that followed was profound. Finally, Carlo spoke from the floor, his voice barely a whisper. What manner of nightmare world produces a species like this? The fun kind, Jake said cheerfully. Anyone got any snacks? I'm still hungry. Threnix had stopped blinking. All four eyes just stared at Jake with the glazed expression of someone whose entire worldview had been drop-kicked into a Sunday. He said slowly. I need a moment to process this information. Take your time, Jake said, settling back onto his bar stool. I've got nowhere to be. Doctor. Pinnacle had extended a dozen tendrils and was frantically pulling up Earth's file on multiple holographic displays. The more he read, the more his gelatinous body seemed to lose cohesion, like he was literally melting from stress. Oh no, he gurgled. Oh no. How did we miss this? The application mentioned Death World status, but the toxicology section is... He scrolled through pages of data, his form rippling with distress. Their infant mortality rate dropped by 90% once they stopped dying from milk. Lactose intolerance, Jake confirmed. Some of us can't process dairy. We drink it anyway. Made cheese out of it. Cheese that grows mold. Then we ate the moldy cheese and called it gourmet. A small avian delegate stood up abruptly. I motion that we immediately end this session and reconvene after a thorough psychological evaluation of the human species. Seconded. Came about 12 voices at once. Wait. Carlo interjected, finally pulling himself off the floor. His antennae were bent at weird angles, and one of his compound eyes was twitching. We cannot simply accept this. Earth's file must contain information about safe compounds, things that don't try to kill humans, Doctor. Pinnacle tendriled through more data. Let me see. Safe food items consumed by humans without incident. Ah, here we go. Bananas. See? Carlo said triumphantly. Bananas are harmless. Bananas are radioactive, Dr. Pinnacle read in a hollow voice. They contain potassium-40, a radioactive isotope. Humans use the term banana equivalent dose as an actual unit of radiation measurement. They eat radioactive fruit casually enough to make jokes about it, Jake added. Helpfully, Carlo's antennae drooped further. What about water? Surely water is safe. They drink water from lakes that contain brain-eating amoebas. Doctor. Pinnacle continued, his voice getting higher. They swim in oceans with creatures that can inject neurotoxins fatal to most species. They have fish in their waters that can swim up, and I apologize for this terminology, but it's in their file. Swim up their urinary tracts and lodge there with barbed spines. That's the Kindiru, Jake said. Mostly a myth, but yeah, we still swim in the Amazon River anyway. A crystalline delegate who hadn't spoken yet suddenly shattered one of their appendages in what might have been the rock person equivalent of a panic attack. Threnix stood up, walked to his ornate council podium, and pulled out what appeared to be a bottle of something amber-colored. He poured it into a ceremonial chalice with shaking claws. Is that Kelvorian meditation spirits? His assistant whispered. Observation, Threnix corrected, then downed the entire chalice in one go. He gasped, wiped his mouth, and turned back to face the council. I have served on this council for 42 standard years. I have negotiated with the warlike Chromath. I have mediated disputes between species that communicate through chemical warfare. I once spent 6 months trapped on a station with the Singing Collective and their endless harmonizing. But this, he gestured at Jake. This is beyond my comprehension. If it helps, Jake offered, we're just as confused about you guys being so fragile. Like, you're telling me that berry can actually kill you? It's just a berry. It's called the death berry, Carlo shrieked. Yeah, but like, marketing, right? Jake shrugged. We've got something on Earth called death cap mushrooms, super poisonous. But we also have something called devil's food cake, and that's just chocolate. You can't always trust the names. Dr. Pinnacle was now displaying a rotating 3D model of Australia on his holograms. There's an entire continent on Earth where, according to this file, 10 of the 15 most venomous creatures in known space reside. The humans call it Australia. They have cities there. Tourist destinations. Oh yeah, Australia's great, Jake said enthusiastically. Beaches are beautiful. Sydney Opera House is gorgeous. Sure, there are spiders that can kill you, snakes that can kill you, jellyfish that can kill you, octopi that can kill you, snails that can kill you, and one bird that can literally disembowel you with its feet. But the people are friendly and the coffee is excellent. The coffee again, Threnix shouted, slamming his claws on the podium. The insecticide beverage. You really need to try it, Jake said. Takes the edge off. The purple squid delegate from earlier raised several tentacles. I have a question that I'm almost afraid to ask. If humans are this resistant to toxins, what happens when you actually try to poison them intentionally? Like, as a weapon? Jake scratched his chin. I mean, we invented our own chemical weapons? Tear gas, mustard gas, all that fun stuff. Geneva Conventions banned most of it. We still have pharmaceutical poisons, of course. Cyanide will definitely kill us if you use enough. Arsenic works. Most heavy metals are bad news. So you can be poisoned? The squid said hopefully. Oh sure, absolutely. Just takes a lot more effort than your average species, I guess. Plus we invented antidotes for most of the common stuff. Activated charcoal, stomach pumping, all kinds of fun medical interventions. Threnix poured himself another chalice. Let me see if I understand this correctly. Humans evolved on a planet so hostile that they developed resistance to thousands of toxic compounds just to survive. Then they achieved sentience and decided to keep eating the toxic things anyway, for pleasure and profit, Jake added. The spice trade was a huge deal historically. People crossed oceans for pepper and cinnamon to obtain more poison plants, Threnix said flatly. Well, when you say it like that, it sounds weird. Carlo had been silent for several minutes, his antennae slowly rotating as he processed information. Finally, he spoke. I motion that we reject humanity's application to the Galactic Council. A murmur of agreement rippled through the chamber. Not because they're primitive, Carlo continued. Not because they're technologically insufficient. Not even because they're dangerous. He paused, dramatically. Note, but because they're absolutely terrifying, and I don't think my species can psychologically handle regular diplomatic contact with beings who eat poison for fun. Objection, came a deep voice from the back. Ambassador Krenth, a massive armored species that looked like someone had crossed a rhino with a tank, lumbered forward. While I find the humans disturbing, we must consider the practical applications of their biology. Practical applications, Threnix repeated weakly. They're essentially immune to most biological weapons, Krenth rumbled. They can survive on planets with toxic atmospheres relative to other species. They can consume resources we would consider hazardous waste. And most importantly, he gestured at Jake with one massive claw. They're too stubborn to die easily. These are valuable traits in a galactic alliance. He's not wrong, Jake said. We're pretty useful in a pinch. Plus, we're generally friendly once you get past the whole eating poison thing. We bring good snacks to parties. Well, good by our standards. You guys might consider them biological warfare. Dr. Pinnacle's tendrils were still scrolling through Earth's file. There's a note here about Earth's diplomatic gifts to other species. It says humans offered something called hot sauce to the Bentherin delegation. Oh yeah, Jake remembered. They seemed interested in human cuisine. 3 Bentherin diplomats required medical attention, Dr. Pinnacle read. 1 experienced temporary paralysis of their vocal organs. Another reported, quote, "My ancestors are screaming at me from beyond the grave." The 3rd filed a formal complaint with the War Crimes Tribunal. In our defense, Jake said, it was only medium spicy. We marked the bottle clearly. Threnix poured a 3rd chalice and just held it without drinking, staring into the amber liquid like it held answers. Dr. Pinnacle, in your professional medical opinion, should Earth be quarantined as a Class 1 biological hazard zone? Absolutely, Dr. Pinnacle gurgled immediately. The entire planet should be cordoned off with warning beacons in 6 languages minimum. No unauthorized personnel should be allowed within 5 light-years. Counterpoint. Jake raised a finger. We already have faster-than-light travel. We've already established colonies on 3 moons and 2 planetoids. That particular ship has sailed, crashed, and been turned into a roadside attraction with a gift shop. The council exchanged glances. This was the nightmare scenario nobody had planned for. A species too advanced to contain, too useful to reject, and too bizarre to fully accept. Let me propose an alternative, Jake continued. You accept humanity into the Galactic Council. We promise to clearly label anything we bring to diplomatic functions. We'll even run it past a toxicology board first. In exchange, you get access to human resilience, human adaptability, and human innovation. Plus, if anyone tries to poison your food at a summit, just have us taste it first. We're like the universe's canaries, except we don't die. We just tell you if it's spicy. This is insane, Carlo muttered. This is politics, Krenth corrected. The question is whether the benefits outweigh the existential terror. Threnix set down his chalice and straightened all four of his eyes fixing on different council members. We need to vote. All in favor of accepting humanity's application for full Galactic Council membership, with appropriate safety restrictions, raise your primary appendage. Slowly, hesitantly, appendages began to rise. Krenth immediately, the crystalline delegate after a moment of consideration. Dr. Pinnacle surprisingly raised a tendril. Then another delegate. And another. Even Carlo, after a long moment of visible internal struggle, slowly raised one shaking claw. The motion passes, Threnix announced, sounding exhausted. Humanity is hereby accepted as a full member of the Galactic Council. With the following restriction. Humans are expressly forbidden from consuming any substances at diplomatic functions without prior approval from a certified xenobiologist. This is for everyone's mental health, not just physical safety. Jake stood and bowed slightly. We accept your terms. Thank you for this opportunity. Humanity looks forward to a long and prosperous relationship with the Galactic Council. May the gods have mercy on us all, Threnix muttered. The council chamber erupted in a chaotic mixture of relieved sighs, nervous chittering, and what Jake was pretty sure was someone praying in the corner. Threnix began the formal documentation process, his claws moving across holographic forms with the resigned efficiency of someone who'd just agreed to adopt a feral wolverine. The approval is contingent upon several conditions, Threnix announced, his voice taking on that official bureaucratic tone that meant he was reading directly from legal templates. In addition to the dietary restrictions already mentioned, human representatives must undergo a full toxicology scan before attending any council function. Furthermore, Earth must provide a comprehensive database of all substances humans consider edible, recreational, or medicinal for the safety of other species. That's going to be a long list, Jake warned. I'm aware, Threnix said grimly. We've allocated an entire data server for it. It was originally meant to house the complete historical archives of the Chromath Empire. They're very understanding about the reallocation, mostly because they're also terrified of you now. Jake signed the holographic documents with his fingerprint, and just like that, humanity was officially part of the Galactic Council. Confetti didn't fall, balloons didn't drop, mostly because nobody felt particularly celebratory about the situation. It was less, welcome to the family, and more, please don't eat anything, we're begging you. Representative Brenner. Dr. Pinnacle oozed forward, several tendrils extended in what might have been a handshake gesture. I would very much like to study human physiology further, if you'd be willing to participate in some non-invasive research. Sure, Jake agreed. Fair warning though, human biology is weird even by our standards. We've got an appendix that does basically nothing except occasionally try to kill us. We've got wisdom teeth that grow in wrong and have to be surgically removed. Our knees are structurally unsound. We're kind of a mess, evolutionarily speaking. Fascinating, Doctor. Pinnacle burbled, though his tone suggested it was the kind of fascination usually reserved for horrific traffic accidents. I'll forward you the research proposal forms. Carlo approached slowly, his antennae still drooping. Representative Brenner, I owe you an apology. My test was meant to be a simple evaluation of judgment. Instead, I nearly caused a diplomatic incident and discovered that my entire understanding of biology was fundamentally flawed. Hey, no hard feelings, Jake said, extending his hand. Carlo stared at it for a moment before gingerly touching it with one claw, like he was afraid Jake might spontaneously combust or absorb him through osmosis. Besides, that berry was actually pretty good. If you've got a source for those, I'd love to get some for Earth. We could probably cultivate them. Make jam or something. Carlo made a sound like a kettle wheezing. You want to farm the deathberry? To make preserves? I mean, yeah. We turned grapes into wine, which is literally controlled rot. We turned milk into cheese, which is basically aged milk solids. We took cabbage and buried it in the ground until it fermented into kimchi. Jam seems pretty straightforward by comparison. I need to sit down, Carlo said faintly, wandering back to his seat. Threnix was conferring with his assistants when one of them whispered something urgently. All four of his eyes widened simultaneously. Representative Brenner, I've just been informed that you missed the scheduled lunch break. Our staff prepared a meal for you in the diplomatic suite. Did you not receive it? Oh, I got it, Jake said. Thanks for that, by the way. But I wasn't sure what half that stuff was. And given the whole deathberry situation, I figured I should probably ask before eating any alien food. You know, just to be safe. The irony of that statement hung in the air like a physical presence. So you, Threnix said slowly, showed restraint and caution regarding potentially dangerous alien food. immediately before eating something that could kill 47 species. I mean, the berry was a test, right? Figured it was supposed to be safe. Your food might have actually been dangerous. Threnix poured himself a fourth chalice. He didn't even bother with the pretense anymore, just drank straight from the bottle. Jake checked his communication device. Hey, speaking of food, where's the station cafeteria? I'm actually starving now. That one berry was like an appetizer at best. Sub-level 7. An assistant offered nervously. But perhaps you should wait for the xenobiologist to approve the menu options first, per the new regulations. Nah, it's cool. I'll just grab something light. Maybe a sandwich or whatever the alien equivalent is. Jake headed toward the exit, then paused. Oh, actually, can I take a few more of those death berries for the road? Genuinely enjoyed those. Absolutely not. Threnix, Carlo, and Dr. Pinnacle said in perfect unison. Fair enough. I'll check out the cafeteria then. Catch you all at the next session. Jake left the council chamber whistling, leaving behind a room full of aliens who were questioning every decision that had led them to this moment. He made his way through Station Harmony's pristine corridors, following the signs to Sublevel 7. The cafeteria was surprisingly normal, rows of tables, various food dispensers calibrated for different species, and a salad bar situation that seemed universally relatable. A few aliens were scattered around eating lunch, and they all looked up when Jake entered, their various expressions shifting from curiosity to recognition to mild panic. Hey, don't mind me, Jake called out cheerfully. Just grabbing a bite. He approached the dispensers, scrolling through options on the menu screen. Most of it was labeled in Galactic Standard, which his translator handled easily enough. Kelvorian grain bowls, Bentherin protein cubes, Throx nutrient paste, something called Zephyr salad that looked promising. Then he spotted a section labeled condiments and flavor enhancers. Jake selected what appeared to be a spicy sauce option. The dispenser whirred and produced a small container of bright orange liquid. He opened it and took a cautious sniff. Sharp, acidic, with a chemical undertone that reminded him of cleaning supplies. Interesting. He dipped a finger in and tasted it. His eyes widened. Oh wow, that's got a kick to it. That's actually pretty good. Behind him, a maintenance worker dropped their toolkit with a crash. Jake turned around. Hey, anyone know what this is? It's delicious. The maintenance worker, a small purple being with too many eyes, was backing away slowly. That's not food, that's industrial degreaser. For cleaning, the plasma conduits. Huh, Jake said, looking at the container. Well, it's tangy. Would probably be great on fries. He took another taste. Yeah, definitely some heat to it. Almost like a vinegar-based hot sauce with a metallic finish. You guys mind if I take some of this? The cafeteria had gone completely silent. I'm going to need to report this, the maintenance worker whispered. Report what? That your cleaning supplies taste good? I mean, that's kind of a compliment if you think about it. Someone in the back of the cafeteria was already on their communicator. Jake caught fragments of the conversation. Yes, the human. No, he's drinking the degreaser. I don't know. He says it tastes good. Should I try to stop him? Jake found an empty table and sat down with his unauthorized condiment. He pulled out his datapad and started making notes. Spicy alien cleaning solvent. Note to self. Check if this is safe for human consumption. Actually, scratch that. I already drank it. Note to self. See if we can import this to Earth. Might be a hit at Buffalo Wild Wings. His communicator buzzed. It was Threnix. Representative Brenner. The council leader's voice was very, very tired. I have just received a report that you are in the station cafeteria consuming industrial cleaning solvent. Is that what that is? Jake said. Makes sense. It's got that chemical tang. Honestly though, it's not bad. I've had worse. You ever tried Malort? Chicago liquor that tastes like regret. And gasoline. This is way better. Please stop drinking the degreaser. I mean, I'm almost done with it anyway. We've been a unified council for 900 years, Threnix said, and he sounded like he was on the verge of tears. 900 years of peaceful cooperation between hundreds of species. You've been a member for 20 minutes and you're drinking our cleaning supplies. To be fair, Jake said, you guys really should label these better. The dispenser was right next to the food ones. It's in the maintenance closet. The locked maintenance closet. How did you even access it? Jake paused. You know what? That's actually a great question. I just pushed some buttons and it opened. You might want to check your security protocols. There was a long silence on the other end of the line. I'm sending Dr. Pinnacle to scan you again, Threnix said finally. Please, and I'm begging you here, please do not ingest anything else until he arrives. You got it, boss. I'll just sit tight. Jake ended the call and looked around the cafeteria. Every alien was staring at him with expressions ranging from horror to morbid fascination. He raised his container of industrial degreaser in a toast. Here's to interspecies cooperation, he announced. Nobody toasted back. 10 minutes later, Dr. Pinnacle arrived with a full medical team and a scanner array that looked like it cost more than a small spacecraft. They descended on Jake like he was a particularly interesting plague victim. Vital signs normal, one medic reported. Toxin levels elevated but metabolizing rapidly. Another added. Neural function actually improved slightly, a third said in confusion. Is that possible? Dr. Pinnacle's tendrils sagged. With humans? Apparently, everything is possible. Representative Brenner, the substance you consumed is designed to dissolve carbon-based residue from high-temperature conduits. It should have liquefied your internal organs. Probably the vinegar base, Jake mused. We've got stuff on Earth that's pretty similar. Ever heard of battery acid? We don't drink that, but we do drink things that are almost as acidic. The human stomach is basically a vat of hydrochloric acid anyway. We're kind of pre-adapted to corrosive substances. Your stomach is a vat of acid, Dr. Pinnacle repeated numbly. Yeah, pH of like 1.5 to 3.5, depending on what we've eaten. It's how we break down food. You guys don't have that? Most species use enzymatic digestion with a neutral pH environment, Dr. Pinnacle explained, his voice hollow. The acid-based digestive system is typically only found in scavenger species that need to break down decaying matter and kill harmful bacteria. Oh, that makes sense, Jake said. Yeah, humans used to scavenge a lot in our early evolution. We'd eat pretty much anything we could find, including stuff that had been dead for a while. The stomach acid helped us not die from that. You evolved to eat corpses, an avian medic whispered. I mean, technically all meat is corpses if you think about it, Jake said. We just prefer them fresh now. Usually. Some cultures still do the aged meat thing. Dry-aged beef is a delicacy. We literally hang meat in a room for weeks until it develops a crust, then we cut off the crust and eat the inside part. 3 medics excused themselves suddenly, citing urgent business elsewhere. Jake's communicator buzzed again. This time it was a station-wide announcement from Threnix. Attention all Station Harmony personnel. Effective immediately, all maintenance closets are to be secured with level 5 encryption. All cleaning supplies are to be clearly marked as non-food items in 17 languages, including English. All human visitors are to be accompanied by a xenobiological safety officer at all times. This is not a drill. This is our new reality. May the gods grant us strength. Jake grinned and leaned back in his chair. You know what? I think we're going to fit in just fine here. From somewhere in the distance, echoing through the station's ventilation system, came the sound of Threnix screaming into the void. And Jake, humanity's newest representative to the Galactic Council, sat contentedly in the cafeteria, making notes about which alien cleaning products might make good hot sauce alternatives, completely oblivious to the existential crisis he'd caused across 17 different species. Welcome to the Galactic Council, humanity. Please, and stop eating things.